Before we start this video, I just want to say that I cannot guarantee everything here being accurate, especially since any info on the Buffy novels is kind of impossible to find, at least from a scaling perspective. So not everything here is her final set of weapons, feats, etc. With that said, I still hope you get something out of this. For as long as humanity has wandered the earth, the creatures of the night have tried to exploit our fears, especially if they spawn from hell itself. But for there to be monsters like this, there must be saviors destined to slay them. Enter high schooler Buffy Summers, the Vampire Slayer. Welcome to the 39th episode of Drunk's Powerscaling, the show where I hungoverly power scale my favorite characters.
That was pathetic.
And by destined, I mean it. Buffy comes from an Avatar-style line of vampire slayers, meaning from birth she was chosen to be the very thing that monsters have nightmares about, meaning she of course has her fair share of skills and abilities to boot, and she could afford to be lazy about it. Being from a 1,000-year plus line of slayers meant she already had the skill necessary for the job, although she can only access their memories in dreams, which includes basically every martial art known to man, being particularly skilled in... You know what, I'm lazy. Look at this cool edit by Death Battle.
Master of Aikido, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, Boxing, Kickboxing, Wrestling, Karate, Kung Fu, Wushu, Tai Chi, Kendo, Capoeira, and Taekwondo.
Using it to beat skilled watchers even on day one of training, perfect her aim with projectiles, and she even once shot a fly out of the air with her tack. Not relevant at all, but I think it's funny. She's been able to fight demons whilst poisoned, suggesting a slight resistance, as well as shrug off 12,000 volts of electricity, which yeah, probably should have stopped her heart or something. And whilst we're talking resistances, she resisted hypnosis from Dracula herself. Herself? Is Dracula a woman? As well as possession and even most soul hacks. She's so skilled, she's even kept up with people who have eliminated previous slayers, using a variety of weapons, such as traditional wooden stakes, which can be dipped in gorgon venom to turn foes to stone, crosses, which will cause vampires to burn up, which also comes in the form of a necklace given by a love interest, a crossbow, firearms, rocket launchers, holy water, axes, swords, maces, rope, etc. In terms of power, her Slayer physiology gives her superhuman stats, being physically linked to every warrior in the Creed via a mystical energy source. Vampire avatars. Her blood even allows her to heal poisons. It also gives her enhanced senses, such as the ability to tell when she's being followed, including with vampires, and to the point she can fight invisible foes, even whilst she's invisible. Somehow she even has an apparent Wolverine level healing factor, which may actually be true. She was stabbed in the back and was back on her feet quickly, and she's had all the blood sucked from her and healed within a day, which drains magical energy. Hell, this comparable vampire once had his eardrums poked out. It hurt, but he was fine. The only way to shut down a Slayer's power is by removing the internal energy source it comes from, which may or may not be demonic in origin. Her most deadly weapon, however, is the Scythe, an ancient weapon that is a direct counterpart to Excalibur itself, made specifically to kill the strongest vampires in history. Plus, it's handy when reflecting energy attacks. It's not your usual Grim Reaper Scythe, as it has the ability to tear holes in reality Virgil style, such as the time it made a portal to an alternate dimension through a detailed spell, which others have done with ease. It can even absorb magical energy from other spells to empower itself. The Scythe even has a resistance to having its energy stolen. She is prone to it being disarmed from her though. Still, although not too far of a list, it is still enough to make her a force to be reckoned with, which will be tested now that we're discussing power.
So, the Slayer.
Yeah, that's me.
We thought you were a myth.
Well, Your myth taken.
She's bent the muzzle of a rifle, picked up large pieces of rubble, punched giant bat monsters into the air, she had sex so hard a building tore down, she's been hit by a car, been thrown through a brick wall, and vampires like Angel can survive shattering stone pillars, as well as taking explosions like this. Buffy has took hits from Arceus, she shrugged off giant pools of boiling liquid, and would scale to Spike, who survived part of a castle exploding. She can walk off decent sized explosions, and ones from buildings which apparently have endless stairs inside, although I highly doubt this can be scaled directly to her durability. Well, here's where things get tricky to explain. This guy Eddie, who could match Angel's crew, who all mostly scaled to Buffy, broke his hand punching Illyria, and Angel's punches were capable of dealing genuine damage to her. Sounds like a reasonable scaling to Buffy to me, but although I can't show it to copyright, Illyria has killed Angel before and whooped his crew for the most part, so it'd be a downscale at best. Important as she created this explosion. Downscaling Buffy from it by half or even a quarter and you're getting close to or within that multi-city block range, which I think sounds okay as the vaporization end for the explosion that we mentioned before is at that level. So physically multi-city block. Let's talk speed now.
Hello? Ripped out the heart? My god. Hey, did you get that physics class you wanted?
She reacted to closing bear traps, crossbow arrows, dodged gunfire, including from a Gatling gun. She can react before people get hit by buses, and speaking of, on foot she can catch up to speeding buses. She can react to Dark Willow's attacks, which is noteworthy since Dark Willow can react to point-blank explosions. Buffy can react to lightning from the sky, which is consistent with characters like Spike doing the same. And apparently Buffy can dodge beams of sunlight from amulets. This feat is a bit tricky to get a number on, as it's not guaranteed to be light speed unless Buffy is right in front of it, like within a meter. If so, it would be a lot higher of a number, but if she was say 5 meters away, it would be in the relativistic ranges. This being from a novel kind of sucks for scaling, and it appears that Death Battle are going directly with the lightspeed interpretation. And as they mentioned, she scales to characters like Faith, who could dodge laser vision from point blank range, with characters like Spike doing similar. So if you think she's lightspeed, you've got evidence that I don't fully agree with, since most lasers in Buffy show force. I know the one in this panel looks like a laser, but afterwards it slices a mailbox. Although some are vague enough to where we could say it's light speed. Hell, there's light demons in Buffy, which will take a guess what they shoot, but there's no instances of anyone actually reacting to it. So relativistic to possibly light speed with the sunlight feat, or the vaguish lasers. Neat. So only 2 categories. Well, not really. I probably should have done this with Blade's video, but our final category is her weapons, or more accurately, the scythe.
Have you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal savior? I meant to, and then I just got really busy.
Now, with her scythe, she's harmed vamps like Arceus. Speaking of, he had an artifact making portals from hell to earth. The scythe destroyed it. It should also be noted, the scythe is made specifically to kill old ones, the mightiest demons in all of demonkind, like Malakar, who could destroy the entirety of the West Coast, who Buffy has injured with the scythe. But given the context, it's doubtful this is in one shot, sadly. The most important feat, however, is when Buffy used it to destroy the Seed of Wonder, the source of all magic. Something that would not be possible without the scythe. This means the scythe can scale in potency to all magical feats in the verse, like distilled magic, capable of wiping England out. Well, that's just rude, innit? Anyways, it scales to Dark Willow's apparent plan out of capabilities as well, or Faith's temporary buff allowing her to create entire realms. If you think I'm exaggerating, magic as a concept cannot be contained even within universe-sized constructs. Hell, magic was eventually brought back by hatching a new seed, which had enough power to rip apart the universe. To be honest, I'm not sure what to make of this, but Willow wielding the scythe apparently nearly collapsed their cosmology. Although, given this is via holes to other realities, it does seem more ability linked than directly to power. Regardless, Illyria's true form could straight up collapse all of time and existence. Lastly, there's an episode via copyright where an alternate timeline is created through magic, possibly a low multi-feat considering a hell dimension was also created, since we know the Master wouldn't be in this timeline otherwise, meaning at an absolute minimum the scythe is universal plus, but given how hell and earth are linked, it is likely in the vague low to regular multiversal tier, possibly multi plus if we take Illyria's true form as a cosmology wiping entity. which is a tad vague to be honest. Hell, we could say it's possibly 5D given some vague statements about the cosmology, but they are kinda odd. Regardless, the scythe does scale pretty damn high compared to Buffy physically. But one thing that should be noted is that this level of attack potency may only be possible around magical entities, as the scythe grew in power as it approached the seed, likely absorbing its energy. So in a regular fight against a regular dude, yeah, the scythe is still likely to one-shot, but it's not as powerful as we mentioned, most likely. But that is just an interpretation. And that's that, right? Okay, fine, I'll mention the sex feat. Yes, they blew up a mountain, but that's not the crazy part. Buffy took that dick so well, she traveled through time at immeasurable speeds and created a universe. Thank God it was via a non-standard ritual. Okay, Blade vs Buffy. On paper, it is close. For one, petrification can work on Blade. Holy weapons could counter the breathing gun potentially, as it has happened before. The scythe could allow Buffy to escape the ceiling artifact, although it is possible it wouldn't even go in it with her. And whilst Blade's magic nullification on paper would work on the scythe, since the scythe overpowered the concept of magic, yeah, Blade's swords ain't nullifying that. What about Buffy's resistance to magic drains? A good point, but it's not a resistance. She regened from it within a day, not resisted. Blade can still end the fight if he drains her. However, this does bring us to physicality. Scaling both generously, Blade has an edge, even if not by much. Although, if we scale him even a little bit to the Spideys, then he should decimate. Comparing Blade and Logan's nukes to Illyria's explosion, and he'd be anywhere from 3 to 10 times stronger. And bear in mind, I'm not even confident Buffy can even scale to that feat at all. Another key argument to Blade's victory is weapons. Yes, both of their best tools can kill the other, if you ignore the context for Buffy's scythe. And Blade has more than just the breathing gun. Those secondary adamantium swords are a game changer, as well as even basic katanas that can hurt Ghost Rider level threats. He'd have at least one other weapon on him at all times, and whilst both are equally as proficient in martial arts, Blade just knows so much more combat skills via his weapons mastery, meaning he also dominates the long range game, where Buffy can not keep up very well. Plus, Buffy can be easily disarmed. Not that I don't believe she could disarm Blade, it's just her hands would explode if she touched his stuff, and she needs to outspeed Blade first, which in my opinion, she can't for the reasons we've covered in this video. But it looks like Death Battle are all aboard the Lightspeed Buffy train, which yeah, there's an argument to be had, so it's not a debunk worthy thing if they do buy into it. I guess in terms of little other things, both of their senses could counteract stealth options, both have equally impressive healing magic. Blade could theoretically turn her into a vampire to easily exploit her. Oh, and how the fuck did I forget the mist powers, which theoretically could be resisted since Buffy can expel possession and soul manipulation. I think that depends on interpretation though. But what about the experience edge? Buffy can only activate it whilst dreaming, so it wouldn't matter. So I am giving Blade the victory due to his superior versatility, long range combat, likely superior to equal speeds, a hacksaw 2 that may not be able to be resisted, the sheer experience gap, and with the context that the scythe is only cosmic around severely magical energies, yeah, I think Blade takes it. However, this video has barely anything from the novels for a reason. No information out there exists, and I did not want to read a million novels in preparation for a video that will barely scrape 500 views. So yeah, the verdict can change easily if Death Battle finds something in the novels, which they likely will, and that's fine. With that all said, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay safe, and as always, be excellent to each other.
Hey, Buff. Need a hand?
No thanks. I'm good.